Good morning, Vodafone. If you've joined already and you'd like to pop me a note in the chat box to let me know that the sound is working, that's always very helpful. Or any other notes you want to put in the chat to let me know how the classes are working for you will all be noted. You can send messages to Dan or you can pop them via the YouTube channel. So if you're watching the replay and it's not yet been edited, this class will start 10 minutes from now at 12 o'clock. It runs for half an hour, definitely till the end of the month. I don't know what's happening after then. And on a Tuesday lunchtime and also on a Thursday morning between 7:30 and 8 isn't quite such a popular time, but I commend a morning practice to you. If you can't hop on at 7:30, then maybe you can watch the replay. But it's lovely if you do hop on because that gives us all a sense that we are doing yoga together, which I think adds to the practice. That sense that some of you that I taught before lockdown and some of you whom I've never met, we're all coming together and we're practicing together in difficult circumstances, but then yoga's for all circumstances. So it's a good test of our practice to see how we can use it in challenging circumstances. So we're going to begin the practice today in semi-supine. So if you're already set up to go and you want to begin, then draw yourself down onto your back on the mat with your feet hip distance apart, pressing the feet into the mat and having the knees pointing up towards the ceiling. Before you do that, however, you might need a strap today. We're going to be doing some hip openers that a strap might be useful for. So if you have a strap or a towel or an old tie or a belt or a piece of TheraBand, gym band, whatever you want to call it, anything you can use to help with stretching out the hamstrings, then have that to hand. And you might find it useful to have a couple of blocks. If you have them to one end of the front end, whichever end is going to be your front end of your mat. Possibly a bolster if you have one for our relaxation, but it's not essential. If you don't have a bolster and you think you might like a little bit of cushioning or support, then have a blanket that you can roll up, or a couple of blankets, or a couple of cushions, ordinary scatter cushions that can be commandeered to purpose. So we've still got 5 minutes. So you can either prepare yourself in your semi-supine position or just take a few moments to still the mind. Morning, Vodafone. Welcome to yoga. My name is Isobel. Some of you know me as a regular yoga teacher at Vodafone HQ before lockdown. If you're watching for the first time, then take the low options, listen to your body, and take care. Some of the movements are very straightforward, others assume a little bit of knowledge of yoga. So I will try and explain everything as we go through. If you have any injuries, if you have any special conditions, issues with your shoulders or your wrists or your knees or ankles or hips, then take special care and take the options that are offered. They are there to make the practice more accessible to you. Okay, so we're going to begin in semi-supine. Feet flat onto the mat. Have a strap within reach if you think it might be of use to you. Lie down on the floor with your feet up towards the sky and your knees up towards the sky. Did I say your feet? It suddenly occurred to me that I've changed my terminology for teaching outdoors and we're now back in a room. So have your knees facing the ceiling and your feet flat onto the mat. This is semi-supine. It's a position beloved of chiropractors, beloved of people who deal with the spine, because it allows the spine to soften and find rest. So for some people, having their feet outstretched is not quite so comfortable, because if you have quite a strong curve in your lumbar spine, we're trying to encourage the lumbar spine to draw down towards the mat. Obviously, people's spines take different shapes, and it may be that this is also not a great position for you. We're not going to be here for long, so adjust it as you need to make yourself comfortable. If you've got a small pillow, a rolled up blanket, and you want to put that under your head, do so. Bring your attention to your breath. So we're just going to watch the breath, starting every practice by focusing some way or other on the breath, either with a pranayama, an exercise deliberately designed to engage your mind with your breath in an active way, or like we're doing now in a passive way, we're simply watching the breath. Watch as the breath enters the nostrils, fills the mouth cavity, opens the throat, causes the rib cage to rise and expand in all directions. Collarbones rise too. Diaphragm drops down and the belly rises. Exhale, draw the belly back in. And watch the body respond as the breath passes out again. And exhaling fully. So as you inhale, you may notice that your back starts to move very slightly. It's natural as we inhale for the spine to extend ever so slightly, and as we exhale, it flexes ever so slightly. So be aware of that movement in your spine if it is happening. If it's not, don't worry about it. Just try and watch your breath. And see if there's movement in various parts of the trunk as you breathe. Next time you inhale, float the fingertips up to the ceiling. Exhaling as you draw them back down again. My regulars, we've done this exercise a few times before. So if you're nice and soft in the shoulders and you haven't got any history of injuries in the shoulders, you can take your hands a little bit further overhead on your inhalation and then draw them all the way back on your exhalation. So slow your movement as much as you can to match your breath. Long, slow, steady breaths. As you inhale, the chest will rise ever so slightly, but keep gently tucking your rib cage towards your hips so that you don't get an exaggerated arch in the trunk when you take the hands overhead. If that starts to happen, don't take the hands quite so far. Some of you with good shoulder mobility may be able to get your hands all the way to the floor without arching in the back. But if that's not you, don't worry, just do what you can. The main thing here is to coordinate your breath with your movement, to focus your mind on the breath, and to be aware of the extension of the spine that may or may not occur with your inhalation, and very slight reversal of that when you exhale. Make this your last one, not your last breath, but your last of these movements. And then hug the knees one by one into the chest, drawing your hands around the shins and rocking the hips gently from side to side. Bring the hips to stillness, and now we're going to move the head gently from one side to the other, exhaling as you open and inhaling back to center. Exhale as you turn the ear to the other side. I'm not going to go very far here because I don't want to squash my mic. But if you can release your ear all the way towards the mat, then do so. Make sure you've done an even number on each side. And then inhale and exhale at the center. So release your left foot down to the mat, knee bent and facing up towards the ceiling. Take hold of your right shin. This is where your strap is very handy if you've got one. Loop it around your right foot so the strap passes around the ball of the foot, and stretch that foot up and away towards the ceiling. So you want to press through the ball of the foot, press through the heel. You want to try and straighten the back of the leg as much as possible without locking out or hyperextending the knee. So we inhale as we exhale. We're going to try and increase that stretch, stretching out the hamstrings on the right. If you've got a strap, make sure that you're not tensing your arms around the strap as if you're trying to restrain a naughty puppy. See if you can just relax your arms, relax your shoulders, and gently tease that foot forward towards your face. If you've not got a strap, hold on at the back of the thigh or the back of the calf, not the back of the knee. Or if you're flexible, you can, or you've got very long arms, you can take your fingers into, peace fingers into yogi toe lock around that big toe. For a greater stretch, you might also stretch the left foot away, but make sure that your hip is staying down on that side and your tailbone is staying tucked. If your tailbone's raising right up, then you're not getting quite the same stretch. From here, inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to start opening that leg out to the side. Excuse me for a moment, my head mic seems to be falling off. So take that leg out to the side. And here you want to keep your left fingertips on your left hip to make sure you don't roll over. So opening out, stretching out the inner thigh, but keeping your left buttock on the floor. Left fingertips to your left hip head will help that. Open the chest, relax the jaw, relax the head and shoulders. So again, not using that strap heavily, using it lightly to assist you, rather than trying to contain a wild beast. Keep breathing into the belly. Keep observing what's happening in the belly as you take that deep inhalation. And use the exhalation to find a little bit more space here if you've got it. Strong stretch from the hips. We're still warming up, so don't overdo it. Just go with what feels okay for your body. Inhale, bend the knee, draw that knee back into your chest, gently bring it towards the midline. And now we're going to change hands. So the left hand comes across to the right leg. Press the right hand into your hip heads here. Stretch the leg out, and taking your hand to the outside of the right leg, we're going to draw that leg across the midline. So we're not coming into a supine twist yet. We can do that in a moment. We're just stretching out your IT band here. So you'll get more of a stretch by keeping that right hip down, keeping your fingers, your peace fingers into the hip crease there to keep that down, and then just drawing that leg up towards you and over your midline. You might not be able to get very far at all here. One more breath here, and now you can allow the hip to rise. On an exhalation, allow the hip to rise, but keep the shoulder down on the mat. Stretch the arm away and start to take that leg over to the left. So here my hips lifting, but not my shoulder. If that starts to roll, if I start to lose control because the leg is heavy, take the hand underneath the leg and use the arm as a cradle, bending at the elbow to support that leg. So we're still stretching, but the heaviness of the leg is slightly held by the hand. And if you can, turn your head in the opposite direction from your leg. As I said, I'm not going to do that because I'm losing my head mic. But just turn to look at your right fingertips so that you get a deep supine twist. Keep breathing, engaging your belly muscles. Next time you inhale, gently draw that leg back up to center. Allow your hip to roll back to center so hips are even on the ground. Bend that knee, draw it into your chest. Draw the other knee into your chest. Hug both knees in. Just rock gently from side to side, just so that your hips even off, and then we'll stretch the other side. Right foot comes to the floor. Left foot's going towards the ceiling. Use the strap now, if you've got one, to wrap around the ball of your left foot. If you weren't here at the beginning, if you haven't got a strap, you can use a tie, a belt, a towel, or you can just operate without it. It's not absolutely essential, but it does help if your fingertips don't reach your toes. So we're just doing a hamstring stretch. I say just, that can be quite actually challenging for people who do a lot of running or cycling. We're trying to draw the toes towards the face, pressing through the heel, pressing through the ball of the foot. So we're keeping the foot active. We're not floppy here. We're trying to activate the back of the leg here. Stretch the right leg away if you want to, but keep your right hand on your hip head here and keep your tailbone down. Inhale and exhale. Try and find a deeper stretch if you can. Toes come up towards your face. Couple more breaths here. So make sure you've got your peace fingers on your right hip here so you're not going to roll. And we're going to start to take that left leg out to the side. So again, if you've got a strap, try not to tense too much in the arms, or hold on somewhere else on the leg if you haven't got a strap. As I said, avoid holding onto the back of the knee, but anywhere else is fine. Get a hold of your trouser leg if you've got loose trousers and hold that. And we're opening the leg out to the side. You've also got the option of bringing the elbow down and using that to cradle the weight of the leg. If you find you're rolling to the side, if the weight of the leg is lifting that hip up, then you can press down into the hip, but you can also support the leg with the other hand so that you really get the stretch where you want it, which is in the inner thighs. Inhale and exhale deeply. Couple more breaths here. Then on an inhalation, you're going to bring that leg up to center. Change hands. So change hands with the strap. Take it into your right hand, or take your right hand to the outer left calf. Again, peace fingers come into the left hip crease. You want to avoid rolling over to the right here. So do that by keeping your hips anchored, and or you can support the leg with this hand. Again, strong stretch for your IT band. Might also feel it in your lower abdominals. One more breath here, and then we're going to allow that left hip to rise as that left foot comes over to the right. Stretch your left fingertips out to the left and your eye gaze goes towards them. If your shoulder is peeling off the floor, then support your leg with your hand. So there's not so much weight drawing you over to one side. So here we've got a supine twist. Turning the head to the left is going to increase that twist, the length of your spine, so that your spine is completely revolved here. There's also quite a lot going on in the abdominal muscles and in your legs, which should stay active. Breathing deeply. Inhale, gently draw that leg back up to center, roll back to center, hug the knee into your chest, hug the other knee into your chest, rock the hips from side to side, bring the hips to stillness and turn the head. Now bring your hand to the back of your thighs and start to roll up through your spine. Don't come onto your head, but rolling between your shoulder blades and coccyx is fine. Maybe you come up to seated. It's just my hip popping. Otherwise, come up to seated any way you can. So we're taking a cross-legged pose here. Sitting up tall, drawing out of the hips as much as possible and lengthening that spine, which should be nice and warm now. So have your right ankle in front of your left. Draw your arms out to the side and forward so your right arm is underneath. Fold at the elbow, bring your hands into eagle arms. If you've never done that before, we fold at the elbow, back so the hands can come together. Maybe you can wind them all the way around so your palms come together. But if you're new, that might not be possible for you. Inhale here, and as you exhale, if your neck feels okay, if your throat and shoulders feel okay, you can see about drawing the elbows a little higher. Just see how that feels. It's quite a strong stretch for the upper back. If you're able to take your eye gaze up to your fingertips, you'll also get a stretch in the front of the neck. But if that doesn't suit you, don't do it. Couple of deep breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling as you draw the elbows back down. Release the arms, uncross the legs, recross them so the left leg is in front, arms out to the side. This time you're, which one we do last time? The other one's on top. So I think it's your right arm on top this time. Yes. Bring the backs of your hands together, bring your palms together. Inhale and exhale, eagle arms. Fingertips go up towards the ceiling. Eye gaze up to the fingertips, and then see how it feels if you lift your elbows too. Keep your hips firmly planted. Keep your spine long. If it doesn't suit you to take the head back, then don't do it. This is Garudasana. Well, it's half Garudasana. It's the top half. We're going to do the lower half in a moment if we have time. Inhale here, exhale. Release the arms. And let's come up to standing. So find your way up to standing any way that you can. At the top of your mat, have some blocks handy here. We're going to inhale, take the arms up and over into Urdhva Hastasana, press the palms together. And then as you exhale, part your fingers, draw your elbows down and open your chest. So some people call this cactus arms or goalpost arms. We inhale, we take the arms up and over. Keep the knees slightly soft here. Exhale, draw the elbows down. We'll do that one more time. Inhale, stretch away. Exhale, draw the elbows down. Take the elbows slightly forward and the palms slightly back. So you're tilting your palms to face the ceiling and maybe taking a little bit of a back bend here. We inhale, we take the arms up and over again, we bring the palms together, we draw them down the midline of the body and come into a forward fold at the top of your mat. Clasp your elbows and just swing gently from side to side. Baddha Hastasana. Bring yourself to the center, place your palms firmly into the mat. Inhale, take your right leg back into a low lunge. Pause here in your low lunge, level off your hips, take your eye gaze forward and up. Inhale, and as you exhale, bring your right foot to the mat, take the arms up and over, open the chest and come into warrior two. So in warrior two, you want your back foot parallel to the short end of your mat. You want your hips opening to the long end of your mat and your front knee going to the front end of your mat. Inhale and exhale, find a bit more depth here if you can. Inhale, flip the front palm, Viparita Virabhadrasana, opening up the left side of the body, staying really low in the hips here. From here, we inhale and we take the right arm forward, we lift the right heel, and then we come into Alanasana or crescent lunge. You might need to adjust the back foot here if you're really, or your carpet might slide from under you. If you need to bring the back heel down, then do so. You're trying to get your hips level here. Go deeply if you dare. So if this is too much, come into warrior one, bring that back heel down. Otherwise, we inhale, we draw the elbows back and the palms up, maybe take a bit of a back bend. Then we take the arms up and forward and exhale, go a bit more deeply into the lunge. Inhale, extend the spine here. Sorry, yes, extend the spine here. Exhale, stretch forward, press your palms together and lean forward. Inhale, come back into your crescent lunge. Exhale, we're going into a twist now. So your right arm comes forward and your left arm comes back. Inhale back into your crescent lunge. Bring your hands to your heart center, and as you exhale, slide that back foot in, and we're coming into eagle. So I'll just turn to the front so you can see me. Take your right leg across, crossing here, and maybe bringing it to the back of the calf, and then your right arm underneath, just as we did in the warm-up, eagle arms. So with arms we've already done, the legs go in a sort of double wrap, if that's possible for you. Tuck the tailbone under, lift the chest, and lift the elbows if you can. Hold it here. To come out of it, we're just going to gently unwind everything, stretch back, and come into a low lunge. Draw your shoulders back and down, look forward. From the low lunge, bring your back foot in a little bit, press the heel down so your legs are at a 45-degree angle, the back legs at a 45-degree angle as we were doing warrior one, and stretch the front leg out. Here's where your blocks are handy if you've got them within reach. So if you need a block here under each hand, if that's available to you, that's going to make this pose more accessible. Keep the hips level, keep drawing the back hip round and the front hip back, lengthen the spine, make your back as long as possible here, and then fold. Lift the back heel, draw your back heel in to meet your front leg, exhale in forward fold, inhale, take the arms up and over, press your palms together and exhale. We're going to do that on the other side. I'm going to change ends so it's easier to see me. So we inhale, we take the arms up and over, we exhale, we draw them down the midline of the body and we come into a forward fold. Inhale, take your left leg back into a low lunge. Exhale, bring your left heel down, open the hip and come into warrior two. Inhale and exhale again here in your warrior two. So you're trying to find depth in the pose. Without lifting out of the hips, we flip the front palm and we come into extended, reverse warrior, Viparita Virabhadrasana. And then from here, the back arm comes forward, the back heel lifts, and set up your lunge here. Carpet's going the other way now. Inhale and exhale, come more deeply into the lunge. So now that arm movement, we inhale, we draw the elbows down, we lift the chest, palms tilt, and then we draw back up and more deeply into the lunge. We inhale, arms, and we exhale, and we stretch. We inhale again, and now we're going to exhale and stretch the arms forward. Inhale into your crescent lunge. Now we take that revolve, left arm forward, right arm back. Maybe lift the front arm, take the back arm back and down. Inhale, arms come forward and we lift. Exhale, back arm, back leg comes forward and we come into eagle. So left leg on top, left arm underneath. Wind your feet around if you can. Option to keep your toes on the floor if that's not possible. Lift the arms if you can. Focus. Hold. Inhale, take that leg behind, drop down into a long lunge as elegantly as you can. Have your blocks handy. Adjust the back leg and come into Parsottanasana. So both legs are straight here. We're drawing the back hip forward, the front hip back. We're trying to keep the hips level. Press into the ball of your front foot and the heel and blade of your back foot. Hands are here on blocks, lengthening the spine as much as possible and then coming into a fold. Inhale, lift, bend the back leg, bend both knees, bring the back leg in. We come into that forward fold again. And then we inhale as we draw up to Urdhva Hastasana and exhale into Tadasana. So you might want a firm surface underneath you. If your mat's quite spongy or if it's like mine, it's slipping all over the floor, then maybe come off the mat if that's appropriate to you. Have your strap handy if you've got one. So we're going to do Utthita Hasta Padangustasana, hand to big toe pose. Standing with the hips level, draw one knee in. If you've got a strap here, round the ball of your foot. So it's very similar to what we were doing on the floor. We did the supine version. So we draw the knee in, we exhale to send it out. We're going to take a few breaths here. Again, you've got the option of yogi toe lock if you want it. Holding in this position, and then if you can, migrate to taking it out to the side. Keep the shoulders relaxed, the chest open, lift out of the hips if you can. Inhale, draw that leg back in. And now we're going to take it across the body. So you take the hand into the other foot and you draw the leg across if you can. Option here would be to come into a standing twist with the leg bent. Otherwise, we're going for the full Parivrtta Yamanasana. Inhaling and exhaling, coming back to center. So take your strap around the other leg if you're using a strap, around the ball of the foot, weight into the right leg, draw the knee into the chest, draw it up and stretch it away. So you've got some options here. If you haven't got a strap, you can just hold on under the thigh, or again, you can take yogi toe lock to your foot if that's appropriate. Float the other arm away and keep it on the hip, your choice. Inhale and exhale. Going to hold here for a few counts. And then when you're ready, take it out to the side. Again, lifting from the hip, try not to tense in the arms, so adjust your strap as necessary. You can hold onto a wall here or a piece of furniture if you've got something handy. And when you're ready to come out of that, bend the knee. Release the strap or use the strap and take it across the body. Your choice. We're coming into that revolve again. So your option, feet distance apart, is to slide one leg forward. You can keep that on the floor and come into a twist here. Or you can lift the leg and come into a twist here. Or you can take that leg slightly different if you're doing the Parivrtta Yamanasana, because you're taking that leg across the midline of the body here, trying to keep your hips facing forward. Hold it there. And when you've had enough, just wiggle the hips slightly from side to side, and we're coming down to the floor. So we've done lots of work opening the chest. We've done lots of work opening the hips. So I think we'll do a bridge pose now with the option of coming into upward facing bow if it's in your practice. So drawing yourself down to the floor using your abdominal muscles as much as possible. Lengthening out your spine onto the mat. Press your hands into the floor. Inhale here, and as you exhale, we're back in semi-supine where we started the class. As we exhale, press your hands into the mat and lift up your hips. Press into the feet. Lift your hips high. Inhale at the top and exhale to lower. So you can keep going with that movement, inhaling at the bottom, exhaling as you travel up, inhaling at the top and exhaling as you travel down. Or you can hold it here. Maybe you can get your hands to your hips. That's going to give you a bit more lift. Or maybe you clasp your hands underneath and come onto the outer shoulders. Try and stop the knees rolling out. Tuck them in together. Keep your knees parallel. Send them out over your feet. Holding here for 3 to 5 breaths. If you were in upward facing bow, then come out of it now. Gently. I'm not going to talk you through it. I'm not going to teach it. Those of you who got it in your practice, you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do it now. Wait till you've got a teacher in the room with you. We're gently going to come down from whichever posture we're in. Hug the knees into your chest. If you've got a bolster here, and you can just lift yourself up and lay the bolster behind you, then that might be really nice for Supta Baddha Konasana. Otherwise, from semi-supine, bring the soles of your feet together, open your knees to the side, assuming not many people have got bolsters at home, and bring your hands to your belly and observe your breath. Or you can support your thighs with your hands, like a cradle, like we did in Supta Baddha Konasana. Or you can bring your hands to your inner thighs and continue to work with that gentle release of the hips. So we've worked on releasing the hips. We've done a lot of work stretching and opening the chest and the shoulders as well. These are areas that can really suffer if we're seated for long periods of time. So stretching out, opening and enlivening the body. You can stay here if you want to. Or take your hands to the outer thighs, gently draw your inner thighs together, adjust your feet to a hip width apart, and take one foot and then the other out and away from your torso. We're coming into Shavasana. Allow your feet to flop open to the sides. Release your hands so the backs of your hands come to the mat and your palms face the ceiling. This is your time to be with yourself, focusing on your breath, noticing what your body has to say to you about today's practice, observing it gently and without judgment. Take long, deep breaths here. If you're able to stay here, and I hope that you are, give yourself 5 or 10 minutes of quiet time, connecting with your breath and enjoying the fruits of your practice. Whether you're staying here or going back to work immediately, I wish you a good day, and I hope that you'll join me on Thursday. Until then, namaste.